Someone asked me the other day, Dr. Hunter, are you angry? Are you mad about the decision by Chik Fil to no longer fund the Fellowship of Christian Athletes or the Salvation Army? No, I am not mad. I am sad. Because all too often I have seen organizations and sometimes individuals drift away from the moorings of the Christian faith that once anchored them. I hope you know the name Truett Cathy, who was the founder of Chik Fil and an extraordinary Christian. In 1946, he founded the company, and he founded it to run under Christian principles. He's best known for running a company, Chik Fil, that allows its employees to go to church on Sunday because business is closed. But he has other Christian convictions, and you will well remember the fact that Chik Fil became known as the company that supports same-sex marriage. Now, they didn't go out and attack those who differ with them, and those who are of the homosexual community would be welcome to buy chicken at Chick-fil-A's, just as much friendly welcome as any Christian. But nevertheless, you can't say you are for something that the homosexual community is against, and you cannot say you are against something the homosexual community is for without suffering the consequences. And that certainly has happened as the homosexual community has attacked over and over and over again the business of Chick-fil-A as they have sought to build their buildings in other locations where they had not previously been, and they were fought and are being fought by the homosexual community. But it's a common feature of the world to fight anybody that identifies himself with Christianity. Other organizations have done that. Do you know George Williams? Does that name mean anything to you? In 1844, he started the Young Men's Christian Association. Christian is in the very title. He founded it so that young men could not only learn intellectually about how to live for God, but they could improve the health of their bodies. The YMCA, how far the YMCA has gotten from that identification of Christianity. Oh, they may admit and tell you they want to run it somewhat blithely, I think, according to Christian principles. But that's not a well-known part of identifying who they are. They are not identified as the Young Men's Christian Association as much as they are nowadays simply by the Y. That is their preferred way of being identified. In fact, I saw a letter from one of their leaders from someone seeking employment at the Y. And it was said to this person who was not a Christian that it was not necessary to be a Christian to work at the Y. Have you ever heard of Claremont Lincoln University, once known as the Claremont School of Theology? Well, Claremont was founded as a function of the Methodist denomination to train preachers for the Methodist denomination. Would you believe that this school, founded by Charles McClay, a wonderful, godly Methodist man, that this school, only a few years ago, decided that instead of just training Christian pastors, now they would also train Jewish rabbis and also train Islamic imams. When our Bible teaches that Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And their founder, Charles McClay, believed that, but look how far away they've gotten from that. And then, of course, is the Union Theological Seminary of New York, founded by the Presbyterian Church in 1836. And recently they were in the news because in chapel they had prayer. Well, what's wrong with that? They were praying to plants and confessing their sins to plants. You see, here is the problem that I see with Chik Fil and any other organization that presumes to be identified as Christian. The further the company or organization gets from its conservative foundings, the more likely it is, if not careful, to compromise some convictions that actually made it great. But that can also happen to an individual. How often I have seen people who, once they were saved, became flames for Christ, had great codes of conviction and behavior. But as time went by, they began to compromise on this issue, and then that issue, and then another issue, and eventually became only a shell of the believer they once were. May I encourage you. May I encourage you to take a lesson from the Chick-fil-A controversy. Time will tell if this decision they made is only the first in a domino effect that will cause them to lose their convictions on other Christian principles. I pray not, because I tell you now, the Cathy family that's alive today, they are a great Christian family. But even having said that, it's all too easy to see a domino effect take place with that company or any other company that chooses to compromise on an issue they once held very strongly. But that could also happen to you. I pray that it won't. Look at your life. Is there some place in your life that there's a conviction you once held? Will you be honest enough about it and to examine it in light of God's Word and make sure that you're not on a slippery slope that will one day cause you to drift so far from God you're of little use to Him at all? This is Evangelist Harold Hunter. If you've enjoyed this comment, in which I will duck no questions, you may forward your questions to me, and I'll be glad to answer them. But more than anything else, in order for me to broaden the scope of what I'm doing and to touch more people for Christ, would you please, if you've enjoyed these comments, simply look at the little red subscribe word. It'll cost you nothing. Touch subscribe, become a subscriber, and it will help me immensely. Thank you for watching until we're together again.